Welcome back, Tough Kids, to our latest installment, Tough Kids 3, also known as 10 Reasons Why You Were a Tough Kid, but Your Kid is Not. Let's get right to it. Reason number 10, dangerous situations. We were put into dangerous situations, and they were made to seem perfectly normal. If we had a fear of danger or anxiety, we simply faced it. So what dangers am I referring to? Dangerous playgrounds, dangerous toys, dangerous sleeping arrangements, dangerous cars, dangerous parents in those cars, dangerous games. We all felt like this kid.
By the way, what's your name?
Johnny Dangerously.
Oh, I should have never picked that name. A name like that, you gotta live up to. Act tough. Put up a...
But we did pick that name, and we were
Front,
tough. I challenge you to drop some kid in the middle of nowhere without a smartphone today and see what happens. It's a rhetorical question. You know the answer. Reason number 9 why we were tougher than our kids. Broken bones. It was normal to suffer a broken bone. Fractures were routine. It was a rite of passage. The next day you'd show up to school on crutches or in an arm cast. Your classmates would surround you like you were some kind of conquering hero. They'd ask the ultimate question. Did it hurt? Did you cry? Never heard a kid answer yes to either. Then they'd sign your cast, always writing warm-hearted get-well wishes. Today's generation gets tattoos. The tough kid generation had the original body ink, a signed cast. Number 8. We were free-range kids. We were free to go wherever we wanted. Our parents thought that was the right way to raise kids. We used our freedom to explore the deep, dark woods all by ourselves. As young kids, we discovered a love for the beauty of nature. Today, people are shocked to learn that young kids were allowed to be away from home all day long without adult supervision. I mean, it was the 1970s, so we could run into anybody from this Charlie to this Charlie. Sensing the potential danger, we built tree forts, played war, used real slingshots and BB guns. Later on, as teenagers, we would return to the same woods, but for a different kind of discovery. It's where we did a lot of firsts and learned the necessary social skills to advance on in the game of life. Whoa, steady there, boy. Here's an old school moment, asking for a girl's phone number and having her write it down. So much more personal than today. Whether we were 8 or 18, the woods and freedom were always being intertwined. It was our escape to growing up. Free range was a pretty cool arrangement. Number 7, hitchhiking. We weren't afraid to hitchhike. We put our thumbs out, roadside, and were given rides by complete strangers. Dangerous? Of course it was.
Yeah, kid, but you really live dangerously.
But I don't know anyone personally who was abducted, so we took our chances. We thumbed it across town, across the state, across the country. Talk to anybody who grew up in the 70s and 80s and ask them for the furthest distance they ever hitchhiked, and you'll be amazed at the answers. For me, it was spring break 1986. I hitchhiked from Villanova University in Pennsylvania to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and back. It took 48 hours, and it cost me nothing. Have thumb, will travel. Tough kids always took accountability for their actions. They had no choice. Our parents were never on our side. Never. They always took the side of our teachers, of the police, of any adult. It could have been Blowfish, the local wino from Ramsey, New Jersey. Our parents would be like, "Hey, did you talk to this gentleman disrespectfully?" I'd be like, "What gentleman? Blowfish, the wino?" They crack you upside the head. You try to defend yourself with the truth. The guy asked me for money to go get him some more booze. I was like, "Get a job, buddy." Get a job? What do you know about work? Don't you ever talk to an adult like that again. And because our parents were never on our side, we had to learn two virtues that are all but forgotten today: humility and respect. So it was always our fault, no excuses. Today's kids, it's always somebody else's fault. And these enabling parents today will be the first ones to defend their little privileged pampered candy asses. Let me tell you something. You don't know tough until you catch a beating for something that wasn't your fault. And you learn to accept it. Unconditional accountability, now that's tough. Number 5, tough vehicles. We drove around like this, overcrowded and never safely strapped in. We would ride in the back of pickup trucks with all the casualness of kids eating at Surf Taco. Just look at us. We seem pretty relaxed, don't we? But didn't this potential danger cause us anxiety? Let me tell you something. The only anxiety we experience is if we weren't invited along, because the entire block went out together, for ice cream, to the beach, or the drive-in movie. I never once heard the words, "There's not enough room for you in the car." Everybody was included. It wasn't uncommon for a parent driving the truck to say to the oldest kid, "You're in charge back there." And the older kids actually looked out for the younger kids and kept them in line. If you were dumb enough not to listen and you fell off the back of the truck, well then it was your own damn fault. Number 4. We all went to school with a deadly weapon, a hard metal object that we call the lunchbox. Durable as well, it included a thermos for drinks. It was a handy playground defense weapon for protection. If a bully started picking on you, you put a dent in his head. Today's kids don't have hard metal lunchboxes. Today's kids have whatever the hell this thing is. Imagine defending yourself with a flap. According to the Lunchbox Hall of Fame, here are the top 10 metal lunchboxes of all time. Okay, I just made that up. There's no Lunchbox Hall of Fame, but there should be one. Number 3, tough compassion. Tough kids learn compassion early. We adopted a black cat we found in the woods. She was so thin and emaciated, we didn't even know that she was pregnant. We saved this starving cat by sneaking her bologna, ham, tuna fish, cheese, and milk. Eventually snuck her into our garage without our parents knowing. When her litter arrived, we had to come clean. Our parents allowed us to keep the mother, who we named Perky because she was always purring. Our neighbors adopted the kittens. Tough compassion. Number 2, tough imaginations. Unlike today's technology-obsessed youth, tough kids use their own imaginations. Society didn't assume the responsibility of keeping our minds preoccupied 24/7. You never heard a parent say to a teacher, "My kid isn't doing well because they're bored." Bored? Are you kidding me? We weren't allowed to be bored. Besides, we were around our friends, so we were never alone and never bored. Here's today's kids listening to music. And this was us. This is a pretty accurate scene from Wayne's World of our Friday night cruising around our town. And at Christmas time, we liked the cardboard boxes more than the actual gifts. That cardboard box unlocked the key to imagination. The adventure that came with imagination were far more amusing than any electronic device. The cardboard box was a great way to escape the adults in your life. But then again, you needed a tough imagination for that journey. And before we get to the number one reason why you grew up tougher than your kids, we're going to hear from our paid spokesperson of the 1970s on why it is so important to like, subscribe, and share our videos. That's called a chalkboard.
You gotta make up your minds. You want to stay alive and ante up?
Quinn's telling you to subscribe.
You want to play it cheap? Be on welfare the whole winter.
Now he's telling you to share and like.
I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates. There's too many captains on this island.
But you can certainly volunteer with a kind comment. And now for the number one reason why we were tougher than our kids. We were tough kids because we had tough parents. But our children had some of us for parents. So, it's time to admit a painful truth. That we gave our kids too much. And it shows. Too much attention. Too much protection. Too much self-esteem. Too much of everything that our parents didn't give us. Because we thought that our kids would be better off. But I think we all now realize that we were wrong. You can't prepare the road for the kid. You can only prepare the kid for the road. Think about that. See you next time, tough kids. And hey, never ever forget where you came from. Because back is the way forward.